You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
This is Storm Thomas.
Hey everybody, this is Mike Rotunda, also known as IRS, Erwin Shyster, formerly with WWF.
I am the unsolved mystery JTEnergy.
This is Lars Metzger.
This is Almighty Christopher Daniel.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your golden boy, Bryce Jordan.
This is the world's greatest pop icon, Donnie Pepper Cricket, sometimes known as the Dundee Strangler, Brandon Juarez.
Hey everybody, this is Rip Studwell.
Hello everybody, it's Ethan Everhart.
What is up, wrestling world? This is the resident rock star of Impact Pro Wrestling, Adam Love. Woo!
It's the Cornbelt Cowboy, the one called Manders, and you're listening to Shotgun Wrestling Radio.
Oh, wait, that's me.
Got a point, folks. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Shotgun Wrestling Radio. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday, a happy new year. We're getting geared up for the first show of 2024. Happens a week from this coming Saturday. I'm pretty stoked. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited because it's been a while since we've done a show under this banner. It's been, I want to say, since May or June since we've had a show for Central Empire Wrestling. And I'm excited because we're returning to Oskaloosa. And with the return to Oskaloosa, man, Oskaloosa's home. It's fun. I love doing shows in our little Nelson Pioneer Farm building. And tonight I'm very excited because we have a very special guest who I know has some things on his mind. As you just saw at the start of the show, we had some fan cam footage of what happened at the end of Bridge City Slam. Yeah, I wasn't thrilled with it either, and I'm going to bring in one of the men who was involved in that matchup right now, the one and the only, the Mr. JTEnergy, the longest reigning CEW heavyweight champion, because he is still the CEW heavyweight champion, and he has a huge match coming up against Rory Fox next Saturday. JT, my friend, welcome back to the show. It is always a great honor to have you.
I am very excited to be here. My first opportunity to talk to someone about the world of professional wrestling, aka Central Empire Wrestling, in 2024. So I'm excited to get some things off my chest and talk about what's coming up.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And again, we saw what happened. The fan cam footage. I know here, hopefully here next week we'll have even better footage from the fine people at the Central Empire Wrestling Management, Austin Bayless and Co. We have, I think, half of the show uploaded on the YouTube. So if you were at the show and want to go rewatch some of those matches, head over to Central Empire Wrestling YouTube page. It has some excellent commentary, if I do say so myself. and yeah, I'm excited to get behind the mic again this coming Saturday. But before we kind of get into that, dude, after Bridge City Slam, I had Storm Thomas on the pod, and I know you listened to it. And I'm going to play a little clip from that here that we have. I'm going to share my screen here, and hopefully you can hear this. But we're going to share the screen here. And hopefully you can hear this. Let me know if you hear it.
I had to see his lips moving.
No audio?
No audio on my end.
All right. Well, then we are going to have to abort that. I was trying to share my screen here, but apparently there's no audio with it. So
I can see
so
his explanation. And I listened to that many months ago. And I'm sure you've watched it recently. So if there's any questions that you might have in response to what he said and my thoughts on that, feel free to ask if you'd like me to elaborate on anything.
I mean, yeah, he kind of starts out there by saying he thought the match was quiet. He thought, the fans weren't really into it. He thought nobody was really cheering for you. Nobody was really cheering for the Jay Fowler. And, I felt differently being a commentator there, being there and being kind of in the midst of things and I guess not hearing it from the back of the building. So I felt kind of differently, and, kind of walk me through what you were feeling throughout that whole matchup. Because again, a big matchup, steel cage main event. We don't have very many steel cage matchups here in CEW.
Yeah. The last cage match was Rory Fox and Storm, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what happened at the end of that match?
I believe we had something kind of similar happen to that one as well.
I think we had also Central Empire Wrestling Hall of Famer Sean Nautilus
yep,
come out, and
I was there that night. Yep, that was insane.
He made sure to leave a lasting message. And do you remember what also happened earlier in that night?
I remember the steel cage. I'm trying to remember what else happened.
Earlier in that night, JTEnergy went one-on-one with Jay Fowler in a battle of the booties at that time.
That's right, because you were the 5-star
Sean
booty at the
Nautilus
time, and
came out, ruined our match, and chokeslammed us both.
That's
and
right, because
then
Sean
he
kind of went
ruined-
on.
Yeah.
He went
Yeah.
on this real angry spree, which led down this whole different path for the one that we know as Sean Nautilus.
Yeah, which led him to a main event at the inaugural Bridge City Slam, right?
Yep.
So it's weird how history repeats itself when it comes to these scenarios surrounding myself and Mr. Justin Fowler. And initially, we thought we might get a triple threat cage match at Bridge City Slam 5, but the world did not want that to happen. It wanted to bring us together again, one-on-one. And Central Empire Wrestling keeps having this problem of our matches getting ruined because people want to insert themselves to make a statement. And that's fine. That's one of my favorite things about professional wrestling. People have opportunities and they choose what to do with them to get people's attention. And that usually revolves around something very specific, and that's the Central Empire Wrestling Championship. I actually have it right here next to me. And I can sit there and listen because I've been on both sides of this spectrum before, as a champion and not as a champion. And I've had my own opinions. I'm fairly vocal online when it comes to social media, letting people know how I feel, what I feel. I wouldn't say I rub people the wrong way too often, but I think the longer that you're in the professional wrestling business, the less weight that you tend to have on your shoulders, because you either get to the top of the mountain, or if you don't get to the top of the mountain, depending on what that means to you, you become not complacent, but you are happy with where you are and you do things the way that you want to moving forward, because now you don't think there's any repercussions because you are your own end goal, not anything past that any longer. And I think that's kind of where Storm is at, because he rode off into the sunset. I opened my mouth last year, got him right out of his seat, got him into a over the top Royal Rumble type match for a lot of Central Empire Wrestling legends. And lo and behold, he was the last one standing. He still proved he still got it. And I didn't know it was going to be him. And he stood toe to toe with me. Nearly won my championship that night. But lo and behold, we were 1-1. My debut in Central Empire Wrestling, he pinned me. And then I had my victory over him come last year. And so when I heard what he said after the main event, and it's funny because I've only heard from him, but there were two parties that entered that cage that night. I don't know. I listened to it, but I didn't think too much of it, because people have opinions and it's not my job to change them. It's just my job to listen and see what I want to do about that. So when it comes to my thoughts on him, I'm glad I just sat back and gave myself months to think about this, see the success that he's had recently, and I'm excited to see what he's doing with his career, because like many people have said, he's the freaking CEW logo, right? Not me. And I'm not one to stand back and crap all over someone, regardless of what they did to me. But I have, in my eyes, a bigger fish to fry, and that's the man who stood by his side that night, which we didn't think was happening, because what looked to be, had the match won. And as I go to step out of the cage, man, that cage door sure did swing back right in my face and knock me all the way across the ring. And lo and behold, the good old Rory Fox that we know, hashtag not my champion, sure did show his true colors after really being such a good guy for a little while, having us cheer him coming back from his horrific leg injury that he got from what seemingly just happened while he was walking somewhere. It's insane to me what happened that night, because I expected it of him. But then when Storm came out to make the save and then absolutely destroyed Jay Fowler with a thunderous spine buster, and then he just screamed a whole bunch at the crowd about what his thoughts were. And I don't know if that was the time or the place for that, but I guess he just spoke from the heart. And I remember there laying on the mat, wondering honestly what's going on, after nearly being choked out by Rory in the corner. And the lasting image to me is Storm and Rory standing side by side, hands raised, and I can hear it now. Storm screams out, he goes, "Whose house?" And a good chunk of that crowd yelled back, "Storm's house." And I was like, this man apparently can do no wrong in all of these people's eyes, because he just ruined a main event, screamed about why we suck and how mediocre we are. And then the fans are like, yeah, because they wanted to scream back Storm's house. And I feel like everybody just got caught up in the moment. And now that we've had time to think about what happened, I'm hoping that when I walk into Oskaloosa, a place that I've treated home since 2019, 18, 17, I think 2017.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you debuted in 17.
I don't know. Like, I'm excited, but I'm also not sure about that place. And I don't like that feeling. I don't like that I'm not sure what Oskaloosa means or what Oskaloosa is going to be excited about following that, what was supposed to be the absolute biggest Bridge City Slam that we've ever had. And I don't know how people felt when they left that night, but I was just kind of dumbfounded. I was really numb to the whole situation for at least 48 hours.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those things that was just unexpected. He didn't quite know what to think. And again, it just left me in shock and awe. And hopefully by next week's episode, I am actually going to have Rory Fox on the show. So we will get to hear from Rory Fox before the next show next Saturday. So I am going to have him on the show as well.
I apologize to all the fans in advance that have to listen to that man talk.
So hopefully we will be able to get some explanation there. And again, you'll be able to hear it when the actual official match comes out on the Central Empire Wrestling YouTube page. You'll be able to hear the reaction from me, my co-host Dylan Koger, and even Jeff Alexander, our ring announcer, jumped in and gave his thoughts. It was such a shocking event. And then, you and Rory's feud had kind of continued through there. I mean, you guys went on and had a pretty hard-hitting match at the 4th of July, annual 4th of July CEW phase.
We didn't even get to have a match. That was the wildest part. I was in full gear, ready to go, and I knew what was going on. I knew it was going to be, I had heard rumblings. It might be me and Rory, which I was licking my lips over based on what happened at the end of Bridge City Slam. And this man comes out, runs down Clinton, and no fault to him. I understand. I've done it in the past. I've been in that ring in Clinton, and I've made those people absolutely hate me. And Roy came out and he showed his true colors and ran that town down. He actually asked me to come out, forfeit the championship, and do what was right. I understand. Been there. Probably said the same things at some point in my life. And I come out there. I want to give the Central Empire Wrestling fans, especially the fans in Clinton, our loyal 4th of July fans, a hell of a main event. And this man lays, I think, maybe 2-3 rights into my face, and then he lands one, and I got a nice permanent scar right here, right now. I also had a nice medical bill that I got to pay because of that, where I landed, I think it was 5 stitches, just a big old gash right on my face. Nice picture from Clint, Tag Team Photography. Me just standing there staring at Roy with blood running down my face. And when I came back, and Austin and Kelsey, they saw the size of the gash in my face. It was done. There was no more main event. They said, there's no way we, as not only promoters but as your friends, are going to let you run out there and risk a further injury with my wedding coming up in a couple months from that time period. And I'm glad Jared Thumb stepped up that day, wrestled a second match, and laid a whooping on Rory Fox. I stood out at ringside and I cheered him on as he laid that whooping on him. And now we finally get to roll back around to this event, a new era. We've got brand new championships, tag team and Central Empire Wrestling Championship being debuted. And I'm so excited to finally get my hands on Rory Fox. There's no running Oskaloosa. There's no running that night. And I'm not guaranteeing that he's going to bleed, but he's said some real nasty things recently online, making me believe that he's going to have some dastardly tactics. But the problem is, when you have someone like me I'm standing across the ring from him, I've learned from Rory Fox. I've been in factions with him. I've teamed with him, and I've fought him many a time. So I understand that he's got things up his sleeve, but for everything he's got up his sleeve, I've got another up mine, and I'm just ready to go one-on-one finally with Rory Fox and get my hands on him and put the Central Empire Wrestling Championship on the line again for my fans in Oskaloosa and prove why I'm the longest reigning Central Empire Wrestling Champion.
And, Oskaloosa definitely never forgets. I mean, let's not forget that our Oskaloosa crowd for years has hated Rory Fox. I mean, cheering him in Oskaloosa was one of the most strangest feelings I've ever had at a wrestling event. I mean, that man walked through the Oskaloosa crowd and he just oozed hatred for them, and they oozed it right back at him. It was probably one of the biggest heel reactions I've ever experienced, not named Vicky Guerrero, at a wrestling event. I mean, and I'm not kidding. I still, to this day, I was at a pay-per-view in 2008, Judgment Day. Vicky comes out and says, "Excuse me," and the roof that's all she had to say. And it was very similar to Rory Fox coming into Oskaloosa during the Not My Champion era. I mean, his music could hit, and you just hear it echo off the entire building there. And I think it's going to be very similar feeling here this next Saturday. And before we get moving on to your match a little bit, I'm going to run down a list of what's kind of been announced so far. The other man that was involved in the Bridge City Slam ending, Storm Thomas, is going to face Ethan Everhart. That match should be phenomenal. Ethan's been having a hell of a run here lately, and obviously Storm lately has been appearing on NWA television, so that's going to be a big challenge for Ethan, which I'm super excited to see how he handles that. We also are going to have the debut of the main feature, Rich Maxwell. I believe you're a little bit familiar with Rich.
He is trained by Lance Storm. Rich has some significant time under his belt, and I think that crowd is going to be in for quite their surprise when they get to see the main feature, Rich Maxwell.
And then another match that I'm actually really excited for, we got our good friend Damian Saint going up against the Death Dealer. They're kind of renewing a rivalry there for CEW. And of course, we got the appearances from the tag team champions, the Iceman and Donnie Pepper Cricket. Jared Thumb is going to be facing Axel Greases new client. So that's going to be interesting. We got some more debuts here. We got the debut of Nico Klein. I mean, it's a pretty jam-packed action night that we have in Central Empire Wrestling next Saturday. We got the return of James Thomas to Central Empire Wrestling. It's a very stacked show coming up next Saturday. If you don't have your tickets yet, I know if you head over to Central Empire Wrestling Facebook page, there is a ticket link so you can do advanced ticket purchases, or you can always buy your tickets at the door, which is much appreciated as well, or contact Austin Bayless on Facebook, and he can hit you up with it. But again, man, you're heading into this matchup, longest reigning defending CEW champion, and like you've not been shy about defending this belt anywhere. You defended it even through COVID. You know, the Power Slam episodes, which you can go watch on YouTube, were a lot of fun from a fan perspective. And I know how much that means to you. And I know how much Oskaloosa means to you. And I know I'm excited as a broadcaster to be able to see this matchup, because I can tell just by looking at you here tonight how focused you seem on this, and how I feel like it's gonna feel like a big fight feel between you and Roy Fox here next Saturday night.
Yeah, there's just a certain thing that changes about a person the longer that you stay in the pro wrestling game, especially if you kind of hone your craft and level up as you go, because the longer that you remain a champion, or the championships that you win, they kind of mold you. They become part of the legacy that you are leaving behind. And coming into this interview, I did a little research myself, thinking, how long have I really held on to this thing? And tomorrow will be 1,400 days I've been Central Empire Wrestling champion. And I won it in a way that probably a lot of people never thought I would. I stood across the ring from Donnie Pepper Cricket. I had the help of Tim Rhodes, and I started my legacy, maybe not as a lot of people would think on the most fair and square terms, but as a professional wrestler, you choose your own journey. And I have been hated by the Oskaloosa fans, and I've also given them moments of proving why I should be their Central Empire Wrestling champion. And I'm not going to sit here and think that I'm going to retire someday as the Central Empire Wrestling champion, when you have people out there like Ethan Everhart, and you have people like Jackson King, Storm Thomas, Jared Thumb, Roy Fox, Donnie Pepper Cricket, the Iceman. All these people, they could absolutely take me out at any time on any given night. It only takes 3 seconds. And I've been lucky enough for almost 1,400 days to hold on to this and give people moments that every year when these end of the year match lists come out, I hope that I represent Central Empire Wrestling and stand tall in some of those lists, proving that I put my body on the line for them. I gave them a hell of a show. And at the end of the year, they can remember that and buy that ticket for the next show, saying, I cannot wait to see Central Empire Wrestling again, because they always put out a quality product with great matches that always leave me fulfilled as a pro wrestling fan. So when it comes to January 13th, I am excited to walk back in there as champion. And the great thing about JTEnergy is he is an ever evolving entity. And depending on what I think is necessary, I'm not sure what version of JTEnergy is going to walk in there that night, but that's the fun part. You pay your money for a ticket, and when that music hits and that curtain opens, you'll see what needs to be present that night to take Roy Fox out and end this story with him and move on to my next chapter, leading someday to that next Bridge City Slam.
And as you say that you kind of look ahead, but you kind of don't. Looking at the rest of the card that we have announced so far, is there any match in particular on the card here this coming weekend that you're, I guess, outside of yours, that you're anxiously looking forward to watching? I'm sure Storm Thomas, Ethan Everhart's going to be kind of high up on your list to be checking out in person, of course.
Yes, absolutely. I would like to keep my eye on that. And just like Storm, maybe I'll just keep my ears open. I'll see how that crowd reacts. That's what he did for our match. And he said he heard what he thought he heard, and I'll hear what the crowd thinks. And I think the biggest thing, I hope he does his research, and he's a smart man, so I think he will. But when it comes to Ethan Everhart, every single time I watch him perform, he is he's like a prodigy of professional wrestling. He is going to be one of those people that when you sit down, hopefully many years from now, and you record another Shotgun Wrestling Radio, you're going to be talking to Ethan Everhart, and he's going to be a champion somewhere representing them for hundreds of days because he's good. And the only way to get better is to wrestle people that are better than you. Storm Thomas has a lot of great accolades under his belt, and I'm excited to watch what he does against Ethan. One of the other things that I'm very excited about is coming out of the 4th of July and out of Bridge City Slam. Jared Thumb has a lot of momentum on his side. He put on what he said was possibly the match of the night. And I know when you say that around Storm, it really rubs him wrong because he likes to think that he's the show stealer. But Jared Thumb and Damian Saint beat the ever-living hell out of each other at Bridge City Slam. And people remember that because that was nasty and that was brutal. And then he went into the 4th of July show. I think he beat Brixton Nash. And then he stepped up in the main event and scored a victory out of nowhere over Rory Fox. He's got 3 big wins in a row coming into CEW. With this new era starting, I don't know. Jared is someone I now have to look to the side and start to keep my eye on again, because me and him have gone toe-to-toe in Oskaloosa in the main event, and he took me to my limit many moons ago. And I know this Central Empire Wrestling Championship, he has told me many times how much it would mean to him someday to become Central Empire Wrestling Champion. But it's one of those things where I got to keep my eyes and my ears focused, listen to the things that are necessary to always keep myself on my toes, but I can't get too lost in the moments that night, because all it takes, like I said, one slip up and Rory could get me out of nowhere, and I got to be on the ball because I know he hasn't had this championship for a long time. And the last time he did have this championship, he did anything and everything he could to hold on to it, kicking and screaming before it was taken away from him.
You are 100% right about that. And, speaking of that Jared and Damian match, for those of you who follow our good friend Clint Dye from Tag Team Photography, he's been doing his top, I think it's 23 for 2023 matches of last year. And that match between Saint and Jared Thumb just landed at number 3 on his list from last year. So I'm curious to see what he has at number 1 and number 2. But yeah, he just put Jared and Damian at number 3 on his list. But again, go check out the rest of his list on Tag Team Photography. I know you made the list a couple of times with a couple of your matches that you've had within the last year. And I know he's excited for next week. We're excited for next week. We all love Central Empire Wrestling. We're ready to get back to it, man. If you have, one more thing that you want to say to Rory, again, this has been building up since basically when it was beginning of June is when Bridge City was. So this has been building up for you for the last 6-7 months. What would you like to say to him before this big matchup?
Well, if I were to say one last thing to Rory Fox, come next Saturday, January 13th, Nelson Pioneer Farms, Oskaloosa, Iowa. JTEnergy once again stands in the ring with Rory Fox for the Central Empire Wrestling Championship. If they were to make a documentary about this night, which Rory is very familiar with documentaries, maybe you remember this little show in 1999 called MTV True Life. I want to be a professional wrestler. And you know who the star of that was? Rory Fox. Except on this night, January 13th, 2024, maybe a new documentary is filmed that night. And it's called True Life. I pissed off JTEnergy and got the hell beat out of me. Maybe that's the documentary we filmed that night. But I guess you got to show up and see. And Rory, whatever is left in that ticker that you got, I know you got plenty of tricks. I I know you're going to bring it. Whatever that it is, good or bad, I need to be ready for it. And I'm going to be ready for it. JTEnergy, 1,400 plus days as Central Empire Wrestling Champion, is going to go through Rory Fox and put the rest of the Central Empire Wrestling roster on notice. Because if you want to take this from me, you're going to have to kill me.
There you have it, folks. Next Saturday, January 13th, Oskaloosa, Iowa. Rory Fox, JTEnergy, CEW heavyweight title. For more information, head over to Central Empire Wrestling Facebook page and get all your information, get your ticket information, everything, because it's going to be a big year for Central Empire Wrestling. So get on the bandwagon now, because it's going to be a lot of fun. JT, we're starting to run out of time here, my friend. Where can the lovely folks that are listening to this or watching this, if you're watching this over on our YouTube page, if you are, I greatly appreciate it, as this is something new I'm trying to start for this year. JT, where can people follow you at, my friend?
Well, you can find the Central Empire Wrestling Champion, JTEnergy, on TikTok, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, pretty much anywhere that's considered social media. You can probably search DJ Click and Play, CLICK, the letter NPLAY, DJ Click and Play, baby. But if you give a good old Google to just JTEnergy, it all comes up. It all sure does. If you want to support, you always can. Come out to a show, take pictures, get autographs, buy the merchandise, but also never forget that you can go to prowrestlingtees.com/JTEnergy, buy yourself a tank top, a long sleeve, a white shirt, a black shirt, a purple shirt, orange shirt, whatever floats your boat, my friends. It's all there. But most importantly, come to a show, make a memory, because I'm ready to make one with you.
Absolutely, everybody. It's going to be a great time here next week. And speaking of next week, we have Rory Fox coming on the show next week. So I'll be interested to see what he has to say after this 6-7 month build up. And yeah, there you kind of can see it. It's the Central Empire Wrestling Championship. Gonna be the last time with that version though, because we got a beautiful new title coming your way next Saturday as well, which I'm excited to see up close and in person. So that's gonna do it for us here on this edition of Shotgun Wrestling Radio. Thank you everybody for listening, and until next time, we'll see you right here on the World Wide Web.